Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto Google and I'm going to select my favorite car, and in this case it's going to be a Porsche. Let's see what we can come up with. So I selected Porsche and I find a nice side view, and I need a side view to do this correctly. And there is a nice 911 Targa. I open up my AutoCAD and I want to get a side view because I'm going to end up dragging this image. So I select a side view, and right now I'm splitting these windows.
Also go ahead and right click the image and save it to your T drives.
And then I'm going to go ahead and select a black and white view, and I'm going to take that car, and it needs to be a JPEG image in order for this to work correctly, and most images on the internet are, and I drag and drop it, and I want to try to put it to 0, 0. If you see at the bottom of the screen, the insertion point is 0, 0. And then I'm going to rotate it, and I don't want to rotate it so it's going to be 0. Now once that picture's in there, however, I need to scale it because we're going to make this full scale. And remember, when you work in CAD, you want to work 1-to-1, and you can always print it out in a different scale. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this object. And what I need to do is, I've already decided how tall a Porsche is. So I'm going to make myself a rectangle, what I think is the size of a Porsche. So I typed in 108 inches by 48 inches, right? 48 inches is about 4 feet tall, and I'm just basically guesstimating this at right now. I've done some rough measurements. So let's go ahead and zoom out of this object. Let's see what we have. Using the menu commands on the top of my screen, and I take my hand and I place it. Now you can see that picture is really small. That's practically the size of a Matchbox car. So I'm going to need to scale that image, and on the right side of my screen with my menu bar, I'm going to select the icon, and if I leave it on there it says scale, and I want to scale the image, and I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to select the JPEG image that I dragged in there, and I select it and I push enter, and that my base point is going to be 0, 0. That's why it's important you always bring things on to 0, 0. So let's just scale it and see what we come up with here. Okay, now I've scaled it. It doesn't fit it exactly, so I'm going to select that picture and I'm going to drag it. Just select it and press enter. I can also type in move or hit the move command on the right icon window, and then move the item to where I need it. And that looks actually pretty good. So it's obviously the height isn't there, but the length is. So once I determine which variable I want to keep, then I go ahead and take a look at this in some different views. If you notice, we have a flat view right now. We're working on a side view. And in this case it's I think I've chosen the left view, so there's the left view. Okay, and that's the first exercise. Alright, for exercise 2, we're going to go ahead and take our automobile that we imported in as a JPEG, and we're going to trace over it. So the first thing we need to do is separate the JPEG image from the line work. So let's go ahead into our layers, and we're going to create a new layer, and we're going to go ahead and call that picture. And then we're going to select the object, and we're going to apply it to that layer. So select the object, go down and select picture, and it is now on that picture. And ways of finding that out, of course, you can always turn it off. The other thing we want to do is create another layer called drawing, and this is where we were going to create our new line work. And once we have that done, we're going to go ahead to the spline tool on the menu bar, and we're going to essentially make an outline of the car. Now if we were going to make a real automobile, we would of course have to make doors, quarter panels, hoods, and every single item. But we're going to do a shortcut here, and we're just going to trace over this image. Now as I take this arc command, I'm going to try to eyeball it the best I can. As you do this, you may want to zoom in and take more time, but for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to essentially make a quick study of this. So I'm grabbing my spline tool and I'm moving this arc in proximity of that roof line. That's not bad. Okay, and once I have the arc where I'm comfortable, then I'll go ahead and select my line tool. And I want to make sure the O-snap is on. That way when I put the new line on, it automatically snaps to that old line. And I'm going to just do a rough outline of this object. So as I go down, I'm going to go around the entire car, and I'm not going to do the wheels at this time. And as I said before, you'd probably want to spend a little bit more time and get more detail. Alright, when I'm done with the line, I push enter and that leaves it there. And now I'm going to do another arc here. And on two lines, I select the two outside lines and then I push enter. And then I select the line and there's my middle point, and I just drag that up, and that determines the radius or the diameter of my circle. Again, I have my snap command selected. Do the bottom of the car. Grab the polyline. I'm going to do another arc here, same way as I did before. I could probably just copy the old one, but let's just go ahead and make a new one, because cars usually have the same size wheels and tires, so I could assume that they would be the same. But let's go ahead and build that other one. And now let's go ahead and close this up. And the purpose of this exercise is to do a profile of my automobile that I imported as a JPEG image. And that looks alright, and let's just take a look at it real quick here. And we are